With Brian O'Connor, ABCA Hall of Famer this year, but 839 wins in 20 seasons at Virginia, and we go way back to your Creighton days. So, Oak, thanks for jumping on with me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an honor. Thanks for having me.
Hey, who do you think had a bigger impact on your journey, Paul Maneri, Jim Henry, or your dad?
Well, thanks for asking that. Certainly they all had impacts, huge impacts on me as a coach, but more so as a man, in different ways and different stages. Ryan, certainly my father growing up, one of three boys in Council Bluffs, Iowa, and just the lessons that we learned. I'm so grateful for learning great lessons from him, like hard work. What it takes to be successful from a work standpoint, and just one lesson after another. My father was my little league baseball coach, and just learned so much from him. More so how to be a man and how to be accountable to what you do. And then he passed the baton to Jim Hendry, who was my college coach. And just you know Jim got me to believe in myself more than I thought that I was capable of. And, watching him be the leader and the architect of our program at Creighton, and just all the lessons that I learned from him about how to compete, how to win, how to be a great teammate. And then, Jim, kind of got me into college coaching. Although Jack Dahm gave me my first start in coaching, hired me as his pitching coach when he was the head coach at Creighton. I'm forever grateful to Jack for that. And then, certainly Paul Maneri bringing me over from Creighton to Notre Dame, and sitting next to Paul Maneri, the office next to him for 9 years, and working with him to develop the Notre Dame program and have the best program that we can possibly have. And just to, every day, multiple times, to be able to walk into his office and ask him questions, and him tell me how to do things and do it the right way as the leader of a college baseball program, is was just I'm so grateful for that. And then the connection, Ryan, that I still have with those guys. Jim Hendry was in Charlottesville 2 weeks ago to spend 3 days because his son is on my staff here in his third year with us here at Virginia. And just talked to Paul Maneri 2 days ago, and talked to him all the time, all year round. And maintaining those relationships and those connections. I share that with young coaches all the time, how important that is to be, think about and be grateful for the men that you've been exposed to as a player and throughout your career, and maintaining those connections with those individuals.
Are you trying to fill that role for your players?
Oh, for sure. I got the nicest text message yesterday from a player that said that he listened to my talk, recorded talk through the ABCA videos at the 2016 convention, where I talked about influence and the influence that people have in molding you, not only to the coach you are, but the man you are. And just got a beautiful text message from this former player. And when you receive those things, or a player's career's over, they come back, and they're grateful and thankful for the opportunity, not just the opportunity they had, but also the lessons that they learned. And Ryan, that's what this thing's about. The wins are great, the losses are tough, the championships are great, but first and foremost, why I do what I do is, number one, I'd tell you, I love to educate and develop winners, and prepare them for life. I just know that if we do that every day through baseball, that sure, will some of them play in the major leagues? Yes. Will we have opportunities to win championships? Yes. But ultimately, our responsibility is to turn them into great young men, that they can be successful for the rest of their life. And that's what I take the most pride in.
We probably need that more in society now than ever, right? Positive male voices. You don't see as many positive male voices out there now. And I think that's on all of us to show that to the up and coming generation is okay, this is how you are a man. It's not always going to be easy, but this is kind of the path that you're going to have to take if you do want to be a good man in the society.
Well, thanks for sharing that with me. About 1 week ago, I gave that talk to our players after our conditioning workout that, our responsibility as men and what does that look like, right? That, we need to stand up and do the right things, right? We're all counting on each other, I shared with the players that the lessons that they can learn from just even a conditioning activity and doing it the right way. And I said, hey, when your time as a player is done, you're going to be a father or you're going to be running a business or a team or whatever it is, and you're the provider, right? And when you're the provider to your family and people look to you or in your company or whatever it is, that's a ton of responsibility, but it's a responsibility that you got to run to and welcome and not shy away from it, because you can't just back down. You can't not do your responsibility. And I feel like, through coaching, we have the opportunity to teach those lessons, Ryan, and I'm grateful that we have that opportunity.
Saw you pregame briefly last year at the College World Series, and I always think about you guys when you're in that moment. How are you able to keep your emotions in check in that type of environment?
Well, fortunately, we've had the opportunity to go there a few times, so there's lessons learned over the years. Our first opportunity in 2009 here at Virginia, it was a whirlwind, and you're trying to figure it out as a young coach, as the leader of the program. How do you handle and manage that situation? Not necessarily for yourself, but for your players, right? Because they look to you for direction on how you carry yourself on the biggest stage. And so, what I've learned over the years is that, first and foremost, how incredibly hard it is to get there to Omaha, right? We all know how challenging that is, but that when you get there, this is your opportunity to have a chance to win it, right? And everything you've done all year long, from every conditioning session, every practice, whatever it might be, has led to this opportunity. And to go out there and play loose and enjoy the moment, because there is a lot going on, there is a lot at stake, and that you've earned the right to do this. And so-called the haze in the barn right now, we just got to go out and execute, and hopefully execute better than the other club and the other dugout.
Is this the best time for Division One baseball as far as talent and coaching? It just seemed like every matchup this year was a heavyweight matchup on both sides of the bracket. It just seemed like there was just heavyweight matchups all over the place.
It is, Ryan. I think we're at just a great time in college baseball, right? I mean, you think about the investments that are made across this country in facilities and coaching staff, the fact that we are able to push through getting the third paid assistant, we're gaining ground, and the crowds. We sold out our last 5 games in our stadium last year. We had the largest attendance for a year that we've ever had at the University of Virginia, and you're seeing that all over college baseball, and it's pressing the coaches up. It's just the competition level on the field between the coaches and the players are at the absolute highest level. And there's many people, including yourself and the ABCA and coaches over the years, that have worked so hard. In times we've felt like it's up against us, and we're not getting a lot of help, but college baseball coaches continue to press forward and are going to find a way to make our product the best that it can be. And so it's an awesome time in college baseball right now.
And the ACC too. I mean, I think about the ACC right now from top to bottom. There are no easy weekends in your guys' league. When you run through your schedule, there's no easy weekends.
There's not, and that's what's great though. That's why the players come to play in a league like the ACC is, every weekend that you have to bring it, and it's the best competition. And as a coach and a player, that if you don't play your best baseball in one of those 30 league games you play, you lose the ball game. There's no gimmies. And that's awesome. That's what you want. And what that then allows is the players to really find out how good they can be. The better our competition is, the better we can be, and we find out how great we can be as an individual player and as a team. And that's what you should want. You should want to be challenged every day at the highest level.
I wish you would have stayed at Notre Dame longer, because then Ryan Zimmerman and Sean Doolittle would have ended up at James Madison.
That's right. Yeah, both of those two guys, Zim and Do, were both recruited by JMU. We're fortunate they landed here at Virginia, and certainly those two guys, as many others, have had great success in this uniform and have been cornerstones of this program. And what they did after their time here is just remarkable. And both retired now, but really, really proud of what they were able to accomplish.
Yeah, I talked to Lee Banks, so he's going to be on here, and just the amount of players that Lee has had come through there. But we talked about just they're good people too, and they like to work. Like that's the thing. It's like they have the elite talent, but then they're also willing to invest the time to get better as players too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's one thing we all know that, talent's important, but it comes down to how much do you want to sacrifice? How much do you want to work, every day? Do you get out of bed and tell yourself you're going to get better today? And those elite players, they have skill certainly, but they have something that separates themselves from most. And we've been fortunate here at Virginia to have many of those guys, and it's part of the so-called culture that we're very, very proud of here.
Yeah. There was a really good article on your website, just the amount of guys that have played in the World Series that played at Virginia. So it was a really good article. And Brandon Geyer was on the podcast with me, so he's done a really good job in that space. So I'm happy for Brandon too. And there's a guy that worked his way into what he was too.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, Brandon Geyer was in our first recruiting class here 20 years ago. He was actually the first player that I went to go see at the Commonwealth Games. 2 weeks after I was hired as the coach of Virginia, went down to the Commonwealth Games and saw Brandon Geyer play and said, we've got to have that guy. And it was the first in-home visit that I did as a coach here at Virginia, and certainly had a great career here and went on to the major leagues to have a great career as well. And just really proud of what he's doing now in baseball and in development of people and mindset that it takes to be not only successful in baseball, but it's successful in life. And we brought Brandon on to be part of our coaching staff a year ago. He's in his second year with us as a sports mental performance coach for our team, and is doing a great job with our guys.
You've always done a good job of recruiting, but also developing players too. Is there a little bit of Jim Henry in that too? Because Jim had elite players, at Creighton did, but he did a good job of pushing them to try to get the most out of them.
Yeah, well, that's something I learned from Jim. Is first, it starts with player acquisition, right? Who do you acquire? And it starts with talent, right? You got to have skill and eye for skill and eye for development and projection for guys to get better. And one of the great things I learned from Jim Hendry is he was able to acquire talent, and then when you get that talent, you got to coach them. And part of coaching is not only certainly what you're doing every day in practice, but more important than that, to me, it's how do you talk to them? How do you motivate them, right? How do you get them to believe that they are better than they think they are? That's what Jim gave me, right? He challenged me as a player, and he believed that I was better than what I was giving. And so that's a talent of a coach, a really important skill and talent to develop young men. And I learned that firsthand from Jim, and have been able to take that and pass it on to the guys that I've been in charge of.
And we're so fortunate in this area with the amount of teams that we have. And I went over a couple years. You guys are practicing at Wake before your series, and you did a good job. You kept your guys accountable. They needed a reset because they were just kind of rolling it out there. And you pulled them off. You talked to them, and then you went back to it. But I loved that part, and that's why I still love going to watch practice because that I was like, okay, that's a Jim Brownlee, Jim Henry move. Like, okay, it's not going great. Let's address it, and then let's reset and get back to it.
Well, Ryan, you know this. It comes back to accountability, right? Great players want to be held to a really high standard, and our job as leaders is it's not about winning the game. It's about the everyday. What is our approach every day, and holding them to a really high standard. And when we don't see them carrying themselves to that standard, we need to talk about it and we need to address it and we need to get going back in the right direction for what it takes to be successful. And then what happens is when that standard is set and you hold people accountable to it, well, then the wins come that are commensurate with what your skill level.
I mean, how do you keep your edge every year? It'd be very easy for you to get complacent, but you're averaging over 40 wins a season. How do you keep your edge?
Oh, I first and foremost, I love building something. I love making something better, right? And we have an opportunity every day to make things better. And I'll tell you, the day that I feel like if I'm getting complacent and I'm content with what we're doing, then this is no longer the job for me. I can tell you that. But I get out of bed every day excited to impact our players, impact our program. All the wins are great. Sure, we've won a national championship, but we're going out recruiting every day, developing players every day, and developing our team every day to get ourselves back to Omaha to work towards getting another national championship. And I just first and foremost, I just love making it better. And I love getting up every day and saying, how can we make this program and this team the best that it can be?
Do you have a decompress after the season to try to reset to get ready for the next one? Do you give yourself some time? And no, it's hard with getting on the road and recruiting because you feel like you get behind, especially as long as you guys play where you feel like you might be behind recruiting a little bit. Do you have anything that helps you kind of reset for the next year?
Well, I'll tell you, I do one thing. I don't take any time right after the season because it's right in the midst of recruiting. We need to get out there and get after it and prepare for the future. But I do when I travel or things like that, I do take some time to reflect. I keep a lot of notes and reflect on last year. What did we do great, first of all? In our preparation in our everyday, what do we do in practice, what did we do great, and what did we learn from that we can improve on, right? And I keep all those notes over the years and try to repeat the things that I feel like we did great and change the things that need to be changed. And so there's a little bit of reflection time on that with regards to the program and how it's run. And also personally, I do take some reflection time to remind myself of why do I do what I do. And I think it's important for all of us, whether you're a baseball coach or something else, to reflect and think about why do you do what you do, because it gives you purpose, right? And so do a little bit of that in the summer, but then really kind of Thanksgiving until the convention every year is the time of the year that you do get to decompress a little bit, spend time with the family, reflect a little bit. And so that's my time of the year when I get to really put a pen to paper and really think about some things and get ready to go for the next year.
Are you spoiled with your staff? You can probably keep a smaller staff than some others, right? Because you have elite of the elite with those three other guys where they just have been able to do a lot and are really good at their jobs.
Yeah, they're really great. I am spoiled, certainly Kevin McMullen starts with him, that the fact that he's been, with me every step of the way here at Virginia. He's starting on his 21st season as well, and I believe is the best hitting coach in America, an outstanding recruiter, and just feel so fortunate, Ryan, that him and I have had the office side by side for 20 years, and just a great molder of young men. And Drew Dickinson, our pitching coach, has now been with us for 5 years, and our pitching numbers over the last 3 or 4 years are really, really remarkable. And he does an excellent job in the development part and getting our guys to win for the University of Virginia while preparing them for the next level. And Matt Kirby he's on his 13th year with us, and he's now taken over the recruiting coordinator title on our staff, and he's been very, very, very loyal because of the work done by college baseball coaches and the ABCA. He now gets benefits and gets a full salary and everything. So I'm excited for him and all the third assistants out there in college baseball, and they're all very, very deserving. Our trainer's been with me for 20 years, so our staff is a staff of 12 people that helps our guys with operations people, strength coach, sports performance coach, right on down the line. And so, when you have elite level coaches, you have to give them autonomy in their job, whether it be a strength coach or a trainer or a hitting coach, a pitching coach. If you're going to keep them around and they're going to continue to be motivated, not being content, you have to allow them to do their job. And that's something I learned from Paul Maneri, that if you want great people to stay and them to be motivated, continue to work hard, you got to motivate them by allowing them to do their job. And I feel so fortunate to have been with Paul for 9 years that he gave me a lot of autonomy in my job, and was part of what helped me prepare to be successful in this position at Virginia.
You've done a great job of adding to the facility too. I mean, was that your vision? I mean, you showed up. Davenport's a great stadium in itself, but then was like, okay, we could probably put a pavilion in left center. I used to show my admins at Western Illinois every year. I'm like, we can cut those trees down and put a party deck in left center. Virginia's got it. Was that kind of your vision? Because it's a great stadium as is, but then it's like, okay, we need to do this. We need to do this. That's part of your vision as well, correct?
Oh, 100%, Ryan. It's all connected. I believe to be a successful college baseball coach at the highest level, certainly it takes recruiting talent, it takes developing them, takes a great staff, it takes fans, it takes donors. It takes a lot, but the development of your facility is a key part of it as well. And I walk out on this field here and always have a smile on my face because I'm so proud of what has been done here. Not for what I've done or our staff has done here, but how many people have been involved in making this happen. Our stadium now seats 6,000 people. There's been over $35 million put in it in the last 20 years. And, to think about that, this place is sold out for regionals and super regionals and the great fan support. It takes all of it. And what we try to do every year is do something at the facility for our fans to make it better for them and more attractive to them. And then that has a trickle down. It trickles down to recruiting when they see games on television in a full stadium, or they walk on this field and see that, essentially their seating options all the way around 360 in this stadium where fans can watch the game. And so it's important in many ways, and we've done a terrific job with that. Our donors, our fans, our university has completely supported it from day one.
How do you balance that with your players where you're going to have to talk about the tradition and the history of things, but then also get onto the present journey that we're going to embark on this season?
Yeah, that's fun. I enjoy that. I do enjoy talking to the team about who has come before them. It's funny you asked that, Ryan. Is 2 weeks ago we started something that every day we put up a page in the locker room, then we send it to them via our group meeting. That's how we communicate with our team. And we have a one pager called Former Cavalier Great, and it's a picture of a former Cavalier, what they accomplished at Virginia, if they played professional baseball, what they accomplished. And it's to teach our players the history of our program and gives them pride in the great players that wore this uniform for them before them. And so I think that's important. That said, it's a new year, it's a new team. That doesn't guarantee you wins because of who's played, here in the past, or the success that the team before you has had. Every year it's earned, and it's a new opportunity for these guys this year, the 2024 team, to make their legacy at the University of Virginia.
Does Stephen Schock get a page?
Yeah. Shock has not been up on that page yet.
He's got some work to do.
Yeah, he's got some work to do, but he's coming.
He's
He's
doing a lot
impacting
right
college
now. I love
baseball.
it. I love it that we have just a distinct voice. He hasn't been that far removed from playing, so he still kind of relates to the players. I love that we have kind of a dedicated area to showcase kind of the lighthearted, fun side of baseball too for the players.
Well, there's no question, Ryan, because that's a big part of it for
Yes.
these guys,
Yes.
right? I mean, they get this one opportunity, whether it be 2, 3, 4 years, to be a college baseball player. And yes, it's serious. We all take it very seriously, but it's surrounded by a lot of fun and should be fun. And so they need to enjoy every day that they're out there being a college baseball player, because it goes, as you and I know, it goes by pretty quick. And some of the fondest memories that I have as wearing a baseball uniform was as a player at Creighton University, and the friendships and the memories and the fun we had every day with each other and trying to be the best we can. So,
We got on a roll at Western when we had two bullpen relievers that would do like a professional wrestling style promo for that day's game. And it just, I think about that sometimes, like how Jim Brownlee would handle that, where you shut that down, but you can't. It let their personalities come out, and they weren't disrespectful to the opponent. They just were having fun with it, and we started to play better because I think they were able to kind of let their personality show for the upcoming game.
well, yeah, I think that's an important part of it, and we do a lot of that here. And every year it's a little bit different, right? And so you have to let each player and each team's personality to come out, and you don't want it to be scripted as a coach. You want it to be about what they're about. And again, this is their experience. You and I have had the experience, right? It's their window of opportunity to be a college baseball player, and you want them to enjoy every minute of it.
What do you feel like from upcoming Division I legislation needs to get buttoned up to continue to grow?
Oh, wow. Well, I think first and foremost is that we get our roster figured out, right? What is the cap and the amount of players? I think personally, I think 40 is a good number. I just don't believe that we should have a minimum scholarship and certain countable scholarship players. There's not any other sports that do this. And with all the things that are going on in college athletics, the transfer portal, NIL, everything with that. I think flexibility to put a roster together with where the Major League Baseball draft is now in the middle of July. There's just a lot of moving factors. I think getting a roster set and how we manage that, for me, is number one for us pushing forward. We've accomplished television, getting on television more often. We got the third assistants. Our facilities are continuing to grow all the time. I just think, setting the stage of, what does college baseball look like from a team and roster standpoint. And another thing is, I'd love to be able to play a couple more fall baseball exhibitions. I think the addition of the two is great, right? Back when,
We're playing
we
20
played,
games. We're
yeah, you
playing
could play
20
20
games.
games in the fall, right? And that was great for development and building a team and everything. I know we'll never get back to that point, but the two that we do get is awesome. I think if we could add a couple of more, it would just enhance the experience that the young men have.
Would you be for having to name your roster as soon as school starts in the fall?
Yeah, I would have no problem with that.
I
I mean,
think it
we
adds
have,
some. I think it brings some balance back.
yeah, we have 38 players on our roster this year. I know we're allowed to have 40. 38's the most we've ever had here as the coach here at Virginia. And so I would be fine with, I think that would probably clean some things up. Setting that roster prior to the first day of classes could be something that potentially could help all of college baseball.
I just think any legislation, it's more guardrails. I don't like the term legislation. It's more you got to give people guardrails just
Yeah.
to keep them in check on things. And I just think that's what good legislation is. It just gives some guardrails to give everybody a fighting chance.
Yeah, I think so. So it's hard to know what exactly the right thing to do is, but I think some of those things are the right thing to do for all of college baseball.
Does it feel different for you going into the ABCA Hall of Fame when you're still coaching?
I tell you what, Ryan, I was blown away,
You
right?
shouldn't be though. When you look at your note, like you
Yeah.
shouldn't be.
I don't know. I mean, being 52 years old, and I know age doesn't shouldn't necessarily have anything to do with it, but like I was, when Craig Kylitz called me, I was blown away. A group of coaches thought that enough of what's been accomplished here at the University of Virginia in a career. I'm so excited to go to Dallas and be there with my family and all the coaches that have been by my side. And I look at it, Ryan, as it's a tribute to the coaches that have worked right alongside of me. This Hall of Fame is every bit as much, Kevin McMullins and Drew Dickinson and Matt Kirby and Carl Kuhn and, right on down the line, all these people that have been by my side. It's a tribute to what they've accomplished. And so it's a special group, a Hall of Fame is, and I just can't say enough about how honored I am, and I know I'll have 7 minutes to talk when I'm up there, and I'll
And that's
keep it to
that's why I
7 minutes.
started these because I'm like they only get like 5 minutes. Like they need to be
Yeah,
able to tell their story, which you're just not going to be able to get to in that amount of time. And that's why I started these, 4 years ago because I just want to pay tribute to all of our Hall of Fame members, all of our award winners, and they've been some of my favorite ones too.
yeah. Well, I appreciate you doing it, and I know the other coaches do as well, and certainly it'll be an emotional night for me, and just thinking about all the people that have had an impact and have influenced me into how I coach and how I lead a program, and those people that have been right by my side, and some of the biggest ones are my family. I mean, the sacrifice that family makes, your children make, your wife makes, to be in this incredible profession. They know that I might have three at home, our own children, but this year I feel like we have 38 of our own children as well on this field every day, and that's how we approach it, and the sacrifices that are made to help these young men be the best they can be is I'm very, very thankful and grateful for all those sacrifices that people do make.
How gratifying is it as a parent to see your kids out doing well? I mean, Ellie was in the office with us for a little
Yeah.
bit when I first got here, and to see what she's doing, and how gratifying
Yeah.
is that as a parent to see what your kids are doing?
Well, it's very gratifying that every night you know that every night at the supper table that you talked about the right things, that you taught the right lessons at home, very similar lessons that we teach the young men that wear our uniform, and then you just want to help your children see the world the right way, make the best possible decisions, work hard, sacrifice for the things that you want in life, and so when you see Ellie off in her career and doing what she's doing at the University of Florida. And our daughter Maggie's a fourth year here at UVA, and she's going to graduate from the engineering school. And our son Dylan is the last one at home, and he's a high school junior, an aspiring baseball player that'll go on to play college baseball. In 2 short years, Cindy and I will be, on our own. I mean, we'll always have them, but the house will be empty, and other than the holidays, and so that's what you want. You want to help your children to eventually stand on their own 2 feet and fight for what they want in life.
What's your favorite book behind you? Of all those books
Oh
behind
my
you, what's your
gosh.
favorite book?
Let me tell you my new favorite book.
All right, jump on
Okay.
it. Yep.
All right. There's a lot of them behind me. This is my new favorite book. This is by Brian Johnson. Okay. This is going to be released in 7 days.
Yep.
Okay. And
Brandon Geyer talks about Arate.
yes, this is a must have.
Love it.
Okay. Not only the book, Brian Johnson has an app. Okay. That's called Heroic. And I cannot promote this enough. I've never met Brian Johnson. I've done my research on him and who he influences, but there is an app out there called Heroic that is the best app as a coach that I have ever seen. I wish Brian had started this app 20 years ago. Okay, but it is amazing. I would encourage any coach to check out Heroic, Brian Johnson. This is an awesome book. It's there's short stories, lessons that are either 1, 2, 4 pages long in it. And the app is amazing. I mean, this guy has read 650 books about, leadership, team development, motivation, sleep, nutrition, whatever it is that we deal with as coaches, and has essentially written cliff notes for each book. So you can go in and read his cliff notes. Those cliff notes are anywhere from 6 to 12 pages long about the lessons within the book. And, I've had the app on my phone for about 3 weeks, and I just absolutely love it. And I impress upon anybody that's a coach, that's a leader, to get dialed into this thing.
Love it. Because that helps my personal development too. And that's why I always ask questions like that, because it's for the listener, but it's also for me personally, trying to continue to grow as a person with that part of it. So, what about your time management? Obviously, you've got a stressful schedule. How do you keep yourself on task personally?
Well, I'd tell you that people that work with me and my family would attest to this. I'm a little bit of a organization freak. I've got lists of what I'm going to do every day, and for me to stay on point, because you're being pulled from all different directions, and you want to be great at all of it for your program to be as successful as possible, and personally in your family life, to be successful. I'm a pretty organized and detailed guy, and what I'm going to accomplish that day, what needs to get done that week. I actually, from an organizational standpoint, I keep everything on my phone. I keep in my notes, and it's worked for me. And I used to be a handwritten planner, and since everything's went so digital, I've been able to transition, and it keeps me on point, and keeps me organized with what I need to do to push this program forward.
How do you learn how to say no to certain things, though? Because you can't
Yeah.
say yes to everything. How do you learn to say no to certain things?
Well, I've learned two things. If it's going to impact my family, okay, I need to say no, right? That said, does this what I'm doing going to make our program better? Now, sometimes we know that you might have to miss something with the family if it's truly going to make your program better. But I always ask myself, if I commit to do this, or I go do that, or spend time on this, is it making our program better? Is it helping the experience that the young men have in our uniform. And that's what drives decisions every day of where I'm going to invest my time. Is it going to make our program better? And does this is this the right thing for my family?
What are some final thoughts before I let you go, or any other shout outs you want to give out before I let you go?
Yeah, just first I'd like to, I addressed some of the coaches that have influenced me and, certainly my family. And, the list is long of people that have worked side by side with me over the years. And I'm just, grateful to those people. And, and I just, coaching is an amazing career. I didn't really know, Ryan, what I was getting into. I was with the Philadelphia Phillies at the time playing, and Jack Dahm offered me this opportunity to get into coaching. And, that decision was easy for me because, I sat there and said, I want to do for other young men what Jim Hendry, what Todd Winberg, my pitching coach, uh, the influence Elvis Dominguez had on me. I want to influence young men like those gentlemen influenced me. And that's what got me into it. And it got me hooked quickly, because I love the work. I love investing the time to make it better, but every day I love, making a difference, and, not only in the program and making it better, but making a difference in young men's lives and the way they think and the way they approach things. And, because of the influence that other people have had on me. And, it's been a great coaching career. There's a lot of years left,
A lot.
a lot of influence
Shout out to
left.
Keith Gutton. Keith Gutton's
Yeah,
finally retired. I didn't think Coach Gutton would ever retire, but shout out to Coach Gutton.
yeah, and I remember competing against Coach Gutton as a player, playing against them in the Missouri Valley Conference, and what a great coach that he is. And it's an awesome profession. And, I'm just so thankful and grateful for the people that have had that influence on my life. And I'm excited to go out on that field today and have an opportunity again to influence young men and the way they think and the way they approach things. So, Ryan, really appreciate you having me on. Big thanks to the ABCA for everything that the association does for all of our coaches. And I know we talk about coaches, but really what it does is it ultimately impacts the young men that wear all of our uniforms, right? And I know we call it the Coaches Association, but it's partly the Players Association, because these things that happen ultimately influence their experience. So just thankful to
Yeah, we're trying to
be.
weave the whole baseball community together. I feel like that's one of my responsibilities, is from pro on down to moms and dads or players, young players. I think we're trying to weave the entire baseball community together.
Well, y'all are doing a great job with it. Keep it up. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in Dallas. And again, thanks again. It's truly an honor to be a part of this very, very prestigious group. And looking forward to seeing everybody that first weekend in Dallas.
Thanks for your time, Brian.
Thank you.